right, good afternoon. Hey, this is Neil, Simpler Futures and Simpler Trading, and it is Monday, September 25th, and that means that this is the beginning of the last week of the month and the quarter. So at the end of this week, it's the end of month and end of quarter. And historically, September is bearish. However, historically, October is bullish. And, people gripe and complain about October. The fact is, I heard this many, many years ago, and it's always stuck with me. The lows are found in October. People say, oh, man, go back and find in October, it's like usually first part too, like early October and zip, up it goes. October is bullish. And then that sets up for what historically are the 6 best performing months out of the year for the market overall, and that is November through April. So, I guess people complain about October because they're just getting over the hangover of September, and so anyway, all right. We were looking for lower last week, and it was a very tricky Friday, but it did ended up, kind of settling lower after early in the day, not really looking like it had that much of an opportunity to do so. Then through some tricky maneuvers throughout the day, a couple of, head fake bids that got rolled ended up settling lower, so that's fine. Into just basically 43.50, right, in the ES futures. All right. So what we're going to do is I'm going to switch screens just real quick here. We're going to use today's value area low right there, 50, we'll call it 7. We're going to use that 56.7, 56.7, whatever, as line in the sand. That's your line in the sand. If lower, I'm not convinced that lower is the way, in fact, and really given the fact that I'm actually looking higher. I explained the reason last week, and I did follow through with the plan. The plan was I was going to, start liquidating the covered calls. I was going to start looking, around for some buying opportunities for the anticipated higher this week. I followed through with my part of the plan. Right or wrong, we'll find out together. It's another trade, but I took them, short. I took him short into the last week. We were kind of had a joke in the room. We were like, look, come Monday, it'll be all right, and we'll see, come Monday, we'll be buying a lot. It's been the last 3 or 4 days in the short-only phase, but here we are now, and let's figure it out from here. So, but the thing is, you can't go higher without going higher, right? So how are you going to get to, some targets up here? Well, you have to end this one-time framing down. And one-time framing down is established by a series of lower highs. We still have, as of even today, lower highs. It's lower high than Friday's high. Friday's high was lower than Thursday's, which was lower than Wednesday's, lower than Tuesday's, lower than Monday's, lower than, etc. So it starts with ending the one-time framing down on this, and that can be as soon as tomorrow, but it has to take out today's high in order to do that, right? And then you go to step 2, which is, okay, you took out the trailing high. Now we grade the follow through. How good is the follow through? So it got good momentum and commitment, that kind of thing. Well, I don't know. Well, it hadn't even breached the top yet, so how am I going to know? We'll have to figure that out. But I do know I'm going to use that 56.7 as the line in the sand now, very, very low of today. And I'm going to say this: if it is to roll and further, kind of puke on the way down, then it would be headed, in my opinion, for 43.08. And if it gets below 43.08, that's the daily 200 and the yearly VWAP on an RTH only basis. If it gets through that, then we would be back in this block of trade that was March through May, and that would put it considerably deeper. That would take a little while to unfold, but that would be a bearish target down there for, just like pretty bearish. I mean, it's like 100.5 lower. But my bullish target's 100.5 higher. So that would be tomorrow if it goes. That's not my lean, but if tomorrow, if it were to, roll further, 43.08 is your target, and then if it keeps going for a couple days before I'm back with you on Wednesday, then the next one down here would be 42.30. That would be the balance of this big block of trade right there. Okay, but what if up? And that's actually my lean. That's what I'm trying to do. I mean, I spent Friday spending a ton of money buying, so we'll see. But listen, not everybody's going to want to hear that, right? So if you want to be bearish, then there's your targets: 08 and 43.20, 42.30. I'm sorry, I'm transposed 42.30. So on the way back up, what about on the way back up? Well, first of all, it's got to end the one-time framing down, meaning tomorrow it's going to have to take out today's high and start working its way back up here towards take out Friday's high, 4,400, on its way into weekly pivot, 44.10. So that to me is like the first real challenge on the up, weekly pivot, 44.10. It's got that heavy magenta line right there, which signifies to me that that's also one of those old end of quarter prints, which is very important. But for purposes here, for just without knowing that, it's weekly pivot. Okay. Now above that, right above that, there's a gap from 20 up to 40. So the next target up here would be 40, 44.40. So you got 44.10 and 44.40. That's probably enough for now to get us to when we'll be together again. If when we're together again, we're up there, I'm going to give you the next target, and that's going to be 4,500, because that was the point of control balance for all of last week, even though price broke end of last week all the way down to 43.50. It left balance up there at 4,500. So that's going to be the later in the week or whatever. If I'm, we'll say if we're together Wednesday and this thing is 44.40 or something like that, then I'm gonna be like, all right, dude, next target's 4,500. Okay, so you're getting kind of a couple of 2 steps forward in my mind, but at least you got the plan. So that's it. That's what I got. Hopefully, it's good and helps and everything. And appreciate the heads up too. There was a note in the comments. Very good. Thank you. Golden cross on the dollar. And the reason I didn't say anything about that was because I didn't see it until you brought it to my attention. So that's very much appreciated. Thank you. And here it is. So now I've got it labeled on my chart that it was brought to my attention. Hey, we've got the 50 crossing up through the 200 right here. Got a golden cross on the dollar. So what that also is, this level right in here, is from the high, the 115-ish, whatever high, all the way down to this 99 low. This is also a 382 retrace at this level that it took to price to be high enough to, have this cross occur. So in order for the equities to bounce of significance, we're going to need this dollar to breathe, i.e. pause, i.e. pull back, right? It's at a 382, it's a little beyond, but need this thing to pull back towards this moving average cross, which, by the way, is a 236 retrace on this up as well. And if at that point may find support and continue higher. In fact, this golden cross would indicate that that would be the case, right? Which means that equities further down the line are going to experience some more trouble. But we're not worried about that far down the line. We're worried about like tomorrow, Wednesday, etc. So we keep an eye on this dollar. This dollar continues to forge ahead. Equities are going to remain under pressure. Treasuries are going to remain under pressure. Gold, silver, copper, euro, all that stuff is going to remain under pressure. But this is a spot where the dollar can find some, resistance and start to pull back towards this moving average cross back here, at which point that gives the equities room to breathe. Treasuries breathe. Gold bounces. Gold, by the way, is historically bullish from now until the end of the year. Copper bounces. Euro bounces. Equities bounce. All that stuff, right? So here, got to keep an eye on this chart. Dollar also, okay? Enjoyed it. See ya. Be good. Check you again. Next update. And that's all I got for now. But I'll see you again on Wednesday. Take care.
Without simpler trading, I could not have financial independence.
This is one of the best investments I ever made in my life.
It's helping me find consistency.
It's one of the things that won me